Good morning and welcome to Life Online. I don't know about you, but I love the beach. It is my favorite place. I would drive for 2 hours to spend 1 hour at the beach. And I remember a time as a kid when I had been in the water for so long, playing around with the waves, and hadn't noticed that the water had moved me along the shoreline about 200 yards, so that when I came out of the ocean, I was nowhere near my family. Thankfully, my dad did find me eventually. This story came to mind when the women's group was studying the book of Hebrews, and we read verse 1 of chapter 2. We must pay careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. The author of Hebrews is talking to the Jewish believers who were undergoing persecution, struggling to maintain their devotion under pressure to reject Jesus Christ as Messiah. Now, when you watch the waves roll in at the beach, you notice that they come in from different angles and directions. They roll in and then they roll back out, and sometimes they overlap and can create dangerous riptides. If you're not careful, you're also pushed along the shoreline or even dragged out to depths that are not safe for you to stand. In the midst of trials, we can find ourselves carried around, battered by waves of temptation, fear, false promises, and even self-righteousness. In an effort to ease our pain, we might allow ourselves to give into temptation and self-medicate. Or we may succumb to paralyzing fear that holds us back from God's best. We might believe some people or things that promise us an escape or solution and then reject God's best. Or we simply feel that we must rescue ourselves, and so we start striving away to work ourselves out of trouble. Drifting around might seem harmless. However, as we see at the beach, you can quickly end up out of your depth or completely lost and in need of rescue. Now, in Matthew chapter 24, Jesus tells the disciples the signs of his return, and at the end of the age to watch out that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these things are the beginnings of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. As believers, we need to be careful not to allow ourselves to drift, but to stand firm. We do not know the time of Christ's return or when our own time is up. I don't say that to scare you, but to prepare you. At the beginning of the pandemic, as the news focused on the worst case scenarios, we saw greater discussion of end times, the end of the world, and the signs that we could see. We have seen massive fires, earthquakes, disease, war, or rumors of war. We're waiting on murder hornets, and it's hurricane season. In all seriousness, if we consider the possibility of end times, it should wake us up out of our comfort zone and move us towards preparations. I'm not talking about hoarding supplies for a zombie apocalypse, but searching our hearts and know that we are prepared for the return of Christ. It can be difficult, though, to remain in a heightened state of alertness and anticipation for an extended period of time. However, the author of Hebrews gives us a strategy that will enable us to stand firm. In chapter 6 of Hebrews, the author focuses on God's promise to Abraham concerning the inheritance he was guaranteed. This was incredibly encouraging for the Jewish believers that he was speaking to, because they were direct descendants and in line for that inheritance. But it's also a promise for us. As we look at all the promises in the Bible, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and we also consider how God has already been faithful to us in our own lives, it gives us hope to cling to, that he will fulfill the ultimate promise that we will be with him in heaven. Verse 19 is a favorite in our house. we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. When you want to avoid the waves carrying you away or even under, you must anchor yourself. This is not easy in shifting sand. You might dig your feet in a little bit or brace yourself against the surge of the waves. But we're all susceptible to the endless pushing and pulling. In the end, it can be where you fix your eyes that is the most effective anchor. If you're focusing on the wide, vast horizon with no reference point, the chances are you won't notice as you start to drift. However, if you turn and you set your gaze on the shore and you find an anchor point such as a flag, your family, or the lifeguard, you'll soon notice if you begin to drift, and you'll be able to take corrective action to return to safety. In Hebrews chapter 1, the author had started by reminding the Hebrews that Christ is God's Son, the ultimate and prophesied messenger of God. He's vastly superior to all the angels and prophets that came before him. The author established Christ's current position on the throne in heaven, having brought salvation to all. And in Hebrews chapter 12, verses 2 and 3, he says it so clearly: we must keep our eyes on Jesus, who leads us and makes our faith complete. He endured the shame of the cross, of being nailed to a cross, because he knew that later on he would be glad he did. Now he is seated at the right hand of God's throne. So keep your mind on Jesus, who put up with many insults from sinners. Then you won't get discouraged and give up. We must choose where we fix our eyes. You're going to fix your eyes on yourself or on your Savior, your problems or the cross, the world around you or heaven awaiting you. It's your choice, and you must choose daily if you want to end up in the right place. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.